Hello there. Good afternoon. It's time for me to partake in some of my simplest pleasures. A nice cup of coffee, a good cigar. Simple pleasures do more than enough for me. Now, today I'm smoking in AJ Fernandez San Lotano, Connecticut. It's a great cigar, very smooth, and good flavor to it. Um, we got to cheers to our boy AJ. Here's to AJ. He had a massive fire in his factory not too long ago, and it destroyed a lot of his product. It's a hard thing to go through as a cigar maker. You're going to lose a lot of your tobaccos or your cigars, lose a portion of your building or an entire building. Like that's a big setback. So very good cigar. Appreciate you, AJ. Well, simple pleasures. The sun is out. The birds are chirping. My cats are walking from the front to the back of the house repeatedly because the doors are open and they love that. There goes the boy right now. Now, it's amazing how quickly things change. Today, I don't have a ton of pain in my foot. The steroids have been working quickly. I'm filming this on a Sunday. It won't be uploaded until maybe Monday or even Tuesday. All depends. But or even later, who knows? The pain in my foot's almost completely gone. It's not completely gone. It's still stiff. It's still got some pain in it, but yeah, it still hurts a little bit. But I mean, compared to what it was, it's unbelievable how fast this change occurred. And I'm definitely grateful to be able to recover that quickly. I've heard of some people who they go through these gout episodes and they last for you know weeks, um, with the majority of the pain ending only after 48 hours or so. It's pretty rough. Um, and I guess that is what happened to me. 48 hours is about the window of the maximal pain. But I think maybe early in the week I won't need the hobbler anymore. I've been calling myself the hobgoblin because of the crutch. I won't need to be hobbling around anymore. So be it. Life comes with pain and pleasure, and you don't get to choose which one you get when. Something that helped me over my life kind of contextualize the hardships and the hard moments is that um, both pain and pleasure are temporary. They are not states of being. They're not places that you live, right? Like pain and pleasure are experiences which you go through and they have like a limited time frame. So, this is actually crucially important to understand. It's also the reason why I don't think that happiness is a very good goal. Because, for example, a few days ago when I was in agonizing pain in my foot, and I'm not going to go into all the details, but I had some very important deadlines at work and things had to happen. Like it wasn't going to be optional for me not to show up. When you're in that situation, if you think that the point of happiness of life is happiness, then you're going to feel like your life is all wrong, right? Like you're not going to be good if you think that's the point of life, because you're not going to be happy. All right, I keep fidgeting with the microphone. I'm trying to get it in the right exact spot. I think we're almost there. And so you're going to be in the situation where you have trials, you have tribulations, you have all of this stuff happening to you, and you're not going to be right. And what's going to come of that is, instead of being able to have gratitude for the very, very subtle things and the subtle ways in which it is going right, you're not going to see that. You're going to see only the negative. You're going to see only the part that's beating you down, that's wearing you down, that's hard, that hurts. And this is why I think it's very important that people should look for contentment instead of happiness as a baseline. You should have your ducks in a row. You should cover your bases. You need a place to stay. You need food on the table. That's about it. It'd be nice if you have people around you who care about you, who love you. I mean, that's about it. You don't really need anything else. As long as you have your basic needs accounted for, there's nothing else in life that's required. Um, Now, that may not be enough to feel super fulfilled, but I think it's important to remember that fulfillment is extra. And there's a lot of people in history who didn't really get to have that. And they lived decent lives. They had children, they carried on, right? I think that's important to remember. It's really good coffee. I tell you, one of the things I've learned how to do over the years is make a cup of joe. Most people don't make it dark enough, and I make it extremely dark. But because of that, I also like to add some heavy whipping cream and cinnamon and honey and things like that. Big flavor bomb. And at the end of all of that, I like to put it on ice, because that's just the way I like it. So then it kind of dilutes back out to maybe what most people were drinking in the first place. But I like it cold, so be it. So, contentedness is a better baseline target than happiness. Um, just as well, let me rephrase what I was about to say. The reason that's important is because happiness and sadness are the same kind of thing, right? These are conditions that you traverse through. Obviously, you're not going to enjoy sadness, but, or, depression, whatever you want to call it. I think a lot of people's depression is really just caused by the fact that they've been told that happiness is the point of life, and they're not happy, right? Because you can't be happy all the time. We've gone into this before. You have a limited amount of dopaminergic supply. That means that you can run through it. Dopamine has multiple functions. One of them is that it's a pursuit molecule. This is actually probably the evolutionary function. It allows you to get into flow states. It allows you to do work and to forget that time exists and go all the way in. It makes work effortless. It makes doing things that are necessary easier. But you can also waste it on simple pleasures. you know, video games, movies, television. For a lot of people, it's porn, um, drug addiction, even alcohol addiction, going out every night with your friends, right? All of the things that we think are fun that a lot of people, especially today, think kind of make life meaningful. They're basically misappropriating their pursuit molecules for um, the amplification of experiences, which are short lived. And the reason that this is a problem when done in excess, right? Like in moderation, that's not an issue. But when done in excess, it actually derails your train of progress, continuity. You're not going to have the energy, the motivation, the um, enthusiasm, the commitment, the spark to go do difficult things. And then you're going to tell people, oh, I'm depressed. I guess, or maybe you just have too much fun and you don't use your biology in a way that pushes you forward. And maybe you just have a philosophy that causes you to think that you deserve things that you haven't earned. That's also possible. And the reason I know this is because that's how I was for a long time. Most people, when I was young, they talked a lot about happiness. It's not their fault. This is a philosophical ethos that was very popular in the United States. It developed in the 1800s. It's called utilitarianism. There's a big utilitarian wave. And basically, utilitarianism says that everyone should do everything they can for the maximal amount of happiness for the most amount of people. Doesn't sound so bad, right? The problem is that's a very naive thought because maximal amount of happiness, first of all, what does that mean? Second of all, for who? Third of all, when? Fourth of all, at what cost? And knowing that happiness, and this is probably the most important point, knowing that happiness is a finite, biologically finite pool that you can pull from. How can it be the ultimate driving factor or the ultimate goal, the destination of your life? That doesn't even make any sense. You're going to make something that you can only periodically have be your primary driver of meaning in your life. That's not going to work. Um, so mechanically, utilitarianism is flawed, but it is still probably the primary driving ethos of how meaning works in a modern world where, people have given up on the other primary meaning drivers. The main primary meaning driver that society has abandoned is religion. The secondary one is the nuclear family, the wife and the kids story. And the third one, which we're currently abandoning now, is the idea that we have any responsibility for anyone at all. And once you've gotten rid of all four of those things, the only thing left is like personal pleasure. And this is what you see people leaning into. This is what people are doing. They're leaning into personal pleasure. And the problem with this is that it basically renders all activity into a form of kind of abstract masturbation, which is kind of a crude way to say this, but bear with me. Basically, if you're just playing guitar in a room, if you're just playing video games in a room, if you're just reading comic books in a room, if you're just collecting Funko Pops in a room, if whatever you're doing is by yourself, with yourself, you understand why I use that metaphor. It's not the best strategy for how to build a meaningful life. And so I don't really recommend it. Um, and so I would encourage people not to go down that pathway. I would encourage people to choose a different driver than happiness as the primary meaning anchor for your life and for your future. And so now that we've gone through why mechanically that's not a great idea, not only at the biological level, but also at the fact that it kind of collapses all of the meaning of life, um, I'm going to go into some of the benefits of abandoning happiness as the primary meaning driver. Um, and probably the main one is that you no longer take it for granted when it shows up. Because when your goal is happiness and then you get it, you're like, finally, I got what I deserved. I got this thing which other people have. And that's not really true. It's not really true that other people have happiness or that other people are happy. They're not. Other people may experience happiness more frequently than you, but it is not a possession. They don't have like infinite access to it either. When you meet somebody who appears to be happy, typically the reality is that they're more content and they're more calm. They don't have as much anxiety about it. They're not as worried about happiness. That's the paradox. Is that they allow it to come and go. They don't try to hold on to it. Um, they understand that happiness is really this thing which comes and goes. Here's the double benefit to that. Not only do you appreciate it when it shows up, but now you get to put sadness in the same category as that happiness. Now sadness becomes something which is not a state of being and not a possession. You don't have sadness and you are not sad. You are experiencing sadness. That's very powerful because now when sadness comes to you, first of all, you know this is a temporary condition. Now it may have external causes which may make it feel permanent. And some of those causes might even be your biology. And some of the reasons for that might be under your control, which is good to understand. It could be dietary, it could be your sleep patterns, it could be your habits, your routines, it could be the fact that you don't have primary meaning drivers, which are not giving you anything to latch onto, which will carry you through. It could be one of those two things, or one of all of those things, I should say. Um, but another one is that sometimes bad things happen. Sometimes tragedy strikes, and you are just going to be sad when that happens. There's nothing you can do about it. And if you're not, like, you might be a sociopath. So, like, the sadness is kind of an indicator that you're alive in a way, in kind of like a positive way. Not that it's good to feel sad, but to be in tune with anticipatable emotions under tragic conditions is probably normal. And I'm sure we've all heard the saying, "This too shall pass." Um, a nice gal that I chat with on Facebook said it to me recently, in relationship to my gout, which is true. This too shall pass. My gout will pass. Um, and some people may not take comfort in a sentiment like that, but I do because it's part of my ethos. It's something that I've believed for a very long time. Um, and I do enjoy associating with people who think that way because that's sort of the mantra that I've adopted. Um, my first love in philosophy were the Stoics, and they have a very, you know, I think probably excessively so, kind of a mantra of just it's almost a solipsistic, subjectivistic philosophy, or not almost, it is. But at some level, it's a very useful tool when you're going through pain to just be able to say, no, I'm going to block this out for the time. I'm going to get to the other side and then I'm going to digest what happened and deal with it. Sometimes you just got to keep moving forward. You've got to put your feet in front of the other and keep moving. You'll see this happen a lot with, nurses, for example, who work in ERs. They'll have like a nervous breakdown and they'll go into a break room and cry after the operation, not during it. Because during the operation, they just have to get the job done. They have to do what has to be done. Then they collapse afterwards because the reality of what they just went through hits them. And it's dissociation, and dissociation is typically not something we encourage, but I actually think it's kind of a good thing to be able to do. It's kind of a good thing to be able to dissociate if you really need to dissociate and just get through something. So it's kind of a skill set that I would encourage people to be able to develop. So sadness and and traumatic situations and all of these kinds of things, um, they pass. They come to you, you interface with them, and they move on. You can learn things from them. You can grow from them. You can your pool of wisdom can become deeper because you have more experience and you understand the rich context of life better, how dark it can get, how light it can get. It adds contrast and context. This makes you more stable. This makes you wiser. This allows you to become a mentor to people. And so there are some positive aspects to going through these things, as long as you don't allow them to destroy you. And so after I've gone through all of this pain, this horrible gout, which absolutely was it was top 3 pains in my life. Back when I didn't take very good care of myself, I had a tooth which actually was so badly infected it abscessed. Um, I had perthes in my hip, and I've had gout. Those are the top 3 physical pains that I've had in my life, and they were all unbearable and unbelievably painful in their own ways, but this was bad. This was a terrible, terrible pain. Um, I was reading some of the comments online, which were saying, gout is one woman described it as more painful than a childbirth. And anyway, people have all these horror stories about how bad gout can be. And I will say it's up there. That was one of the worst pains I've ever had. But I don't allow things like that to cripple me. I've never been somebody who allowed a physical malady to um, stop me. One time that I had the abscessed tooth, I actually worked a shift on Black Friday with the abscess developing in my face, which was unbelievably painful. I went through this extraordinarily important work moment with this horrible pain in my foot. And when I was little, I was in school, and I had crutches, and I just kept going to school. I don't quit. I don't break. I don't fold. I've never been somebody who would, and I never intend to become somebody who will. Um, And part of this is because of my ethos, which I've developed. And this is maybe just a personality trait because I've had this sort of tenacity in me since before this, but it's been doubly reinforced by my ethos that nobody deserves anything. Life is not fair. And pain and sadness are momentary conditions which come and go. So as long as I have my bases covered, I have food on my table, I have a place to live, I have all my basics, there's nothing else I need. And there's no, like, contract that you get when you're born that says, "Hey, your life is gonna be happy and you're gonna enjoy it all the time." We don't get that, right? So, I deal with the pain, I deal with the sadness, I deal with all these things, they come and they go, and then I also entertain the happiness in the same way. When the butterfly drifts in front of your face and does a little dance in front of you when you're outside, that's a wonderful thing, that's a joy of life, that's one of the beautiful mysteries that occurs. When my cats jump up and cuddle with me when I start to record a video, that's like a lovely gift. And there are so many things that are lovely gifts, such as a lovely cup of coffee. Cheers. Or perhaps a very good cigar. Cheers. And maybe the ability to luxuriously spend your time watching YouTube videos, for example, could be a wonderful gift. People in history didn't always have access to such things. I think it's very easy to forget how good we have it really in the context of history. And it is kind of amazing when I look around at all of the bounty and the joys and the pleasures. I routinely smell lovely fragrances, which someone put the effort into making, and smoke all these great cigars, and have a nice glass of scotch. And it's kind of unbelievable. I watch a lot of UFC, a lot of martial arts, read a lot of philosophy. I have a pretty pretty awesome library here by my side. I have some ideas as far as I'm going to tap into that. Possibly even do some videos about some of that. So, and I love to collect antique items. If that wasn't obvious, I love bronze. These are Salvador Dali bronze replicas. I mean, there's just so much beauty in the world if you open your eyes to it and you don't think that you deserve it. I think this is really the critical message of this video. If you think you deserve the beauty, if you think you're not getting enough of it, then you won't appreciate it when you see it. And if you think that you deserve happiness, then when you go through a momentary bout of sadness or pain or displeasure, which may last really 3, 4 days, then you're going to feel like the sky is falling, because not only are you not having the happiness that you feel like you're owed, you're actually on the other end of the spectrum. You're going through a hard time. Well, guess what? Everybody goes through hard times, right? So, um, well, now I'm on the other side of the mountain. That was tough, or the valley, whichever way you want to think about it. Um, Unbelievable pain for the past several days, but I'm basically okay now. And I'll basically go back to normal. I'm going to have to change my diet. That's going to be annoying. I already have a pretty limited diet for other reasons, but I'll just do it and manage it, and that will be fine. So I hope that this message is encouraging to sort of relinquish happiness as the goal, which will actually open your eyes to how many simple pleasures are around you every day. Um, it feels kind of like counterintuitive, so I don't blame people for not connecting these dots. But really, when you give up on happiness, that's when you allow yourself to experience it. So that would be my recommendation, I think. Try to take a step back from seeking happiness, let it come to you passively. And instead of seeking happiness, establish good goals which will incrementally move you in the right direction, accomplish those goals, and then set new ones, and keep iterating this over and over and over again. And gradually, you'll see things become different in your life. You'll see things moving in the direction that you want them to. And suddenly, you'll start to have more pleasure and you'll start to have more happiness. And you'll actually enjoy it a lot more. And the super benefit of this is that the same thing occurs with sadness. Instead of feeling like you are sad, you will start to understand that you are experiencing sadness, and that too shall pass. So, anyway, I'm going to get going on this. It was a fun little chat. I'm going to enjoy some more simple pleasures today. I'm feeling a lot of gratitude that my foot is feeling quite a bit better as well. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day. Bye bye.